Hello, twisted humans.
Do you find yourself wanting to know more about the latest murder, conspiracy, cult, or haunting?
Then this is the podcast for you. I'm Alicia.
And I'm Sierra, and this is Twisted and Uncorked. Gotta get loud, because sometimes we get loud. Okay, yeah, that's good.
Let's get loud. Let's get loud. Isn't that a song?
Yes, it is a song.
But you're just like, no, make it stop. Stop
Exactly.
singing on the podcast.
No, we're not doing it.
Stop
Why
singing
is
on
my
the
brightness
podcast.
so loud?
Until somebody, we're not even restarted yet, but until somebody petitions for me to stop singing on the podcast, I'm not going to do it.
I will create it. We'll all sign it. I'm just kidding.
You just like message our listeners individually on Instagram. Please sign this. I need it to stop.
Well, welcome to episode 78, right? 78?
Yeah.
Gosh, we are just zooming through these episodes.
And we're feeling great.
No. We did that already with, like,
I know.
the
You can
60s
add
or
that to your
something.
petition.
Yes, I'm adding that to the petition. This episode is my episode, and I'm super excited to finally get it over with. You'll understand when we get there. But first, fun facts?
Fun facts. My fun fact is that public phone booths are a rare sighting, as we know, but there's one located in a Japanese hilltop garden that's especially unusual. It translates to the wind phone, and it was created by a man named Itaru Sasaki, who thought it would be a healing way to talk to his cousin who had passed away, even though the conversation was one-sided. Others now use their phone to feel closer to their late loved ones, and people from all over go and talk to this phone.
So it's like a spirit phone.
Yeah.
Wow, that's interesting.
I thought that was so sweet. And, you know, I
Yeah.
love Japanese culture, so yeah.
Very cool.
What's your fun fact?
My fun fact is, sorry, you are most likely to see a UFO on a Wednesday.
Interesting.
Also, fun fact, I was born on a Wednesday. Side note.
That makes sense. Sierra is an alien. We already discussed that.
According to statistics gathered from different countries all over the world, people who reported seeing UFOs, coincidentally, saw them mostly on Wednesdays compared to all other days of the week.
Love it.
Super cool. I love
Love
Wednesdays.
Right? I do too.
Yes.
Hump day.
On Wednesdays,
Wednesday
we wear pink.
Addams. Yeah, we wear pink on Wednesdays. It's all good stuff. I'm trying to convince Kevin to let us name our future dog either Wednesday or Zero. He's leaning more towards Zero, and he's like, are those my only choices? I'm like, at this point in time, yes.
Right? We used to have a dog named Zero. Well, technically it was my brother's dog, but same thing.
Still cute.
Yes.
Still cute. Yeah, we were just talking about how excited we are for the spooky season. I mean, our birthday has to pass first, but that's like in the entries of spooky season. So
Right. Jesse was
It's all
just
good
today.
times.
He's like, "Isn't your birthday next month?" I was like, "Yes, it is." He's like, "Well, what do you want?" I was like, "I don't know. I want to go somewhere. I don't know."
I asked for a gel nail kit and UV light so I could do nails more.
Yeah.
My friend has one, and together on Amazon, I think it's like $136 for both. But
Yeah.
I'll have pretty nails all the time.
That's super cool.
I love painting my nails. It's just as soon as it chips, it's like, it's cool. I like it.
Yeah, it's interesting.
And speaking of sending us stuff, guys, I have a little mailbox attached to my building, so I will put the address for that on our website and on social media in case you want to send us a birthday gift or something. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. That
Sounds good to me.
Sounded so presumptuous. We already talked about it, but I hadn't done it yet, so I was like, I'm telling everyone now.
Yeah.
And before we get to our sangria, friendly reminder to leave those 5-star reviews. I go and see Sierra in like a month, so you have like 30 days for us to do something embarrassing and for us to reach our goal. So go leave those 5-star reviews. It takes 2 seconds, and it means so much to us, and it helps others find us. And you could be entered to win a free month of Patreon.
And Alicia will stop talking in this baby voice if you do it.
I didn't even realize I was doing it. I think that's my voice of, like, when I feel bad. Like, I'm like,
when you're begging.
yeah. It's like how I talk when I ask for a day off from work. I'm just like, I'm really sorry for the inconvenience, but, exactly. But yeah, that's my plug for today. And we have a live show on October 12th.
We do.
October 12th. Put it in your calendar.
A virtual live show.
Yes, it's $1 to come and get a ticket. You got to sign up on Patreon to do it, but you can, check out some super cool stuff while you're there, and then we'll send the link to log in, and it'll be something witchy because, it's October. Yeah. Anyways, what are we drinking today, Miss?
Anyways,
speaking of witchy.
Right? Mine doesn't look as good as it did the other day. Because I left out some ingredients because I'm, doing this weird, fucking healthy shit. Anyway.
She cheated. She had some before me, guys. Unacceptable.
You'll see it in the bonus video, probably.
Yeah.
But today's sangria is what I'm calling a blue raspberry sangria. It is the rosé from last week, with muddled raspberries and blueberries, some bubbly water Sprite, ginger ale, something bubbly, and
White Claw.
And what?
You used because of my wine claws.
Yep. And then to make it blue, I added the blue. How do you say it? Spirulina.
Yeah, blue algae, which
Yes.
is something we've both been throwing back because it's really good for you.
It is good for you. And when I told my son that this is what I was making, and, he's watching me, and I told him it was algae, he was like, no, it's not. And I was like, no, it really is. And he's like, what are you going to call it? And I was like, I don't know. I'm just saying that it's like blue raspberry because raspberries are not blue, but this is blue and it has raspberries. And he was like, oh. And I was like, what should I call it? And he was like, I don't know. Is algae bioluminescent? Maybe something like that. And I was like, no, I don't think it is. And he was like,
but I love
man.
how he threw out bioluminescence.
Yeah.
Freaking nerd. Love it.
He's a nerd.
And if you don't have spirulina, you could use like blue dye or something.
Yeah,
Just
food coloring, whatever.
Give it a splash. Because without it, it's like more purple than blue.
Yeah.
When you muddle. So, yeah.
I just think
really
it's
good.
funny that, blue raspberry is a flavor, but there aren't blue raspberries.
Yeah.
Not that I know of.
Yeah.
So
I'm sure
I wanted to make it
scientist
blue
is
raspberry.
working on it. What would you rate this one?
It was really good. I believe I gave my rating in the bonus episode just so that I didn't forget. And I think it was 9.5, 9?
Yes.
It was very high considering that we did not rate the wine very high.
No.
But when you mix everything together, I like it a lot.
Delightful. Yeah. So.
And it's healthy. What do you think?
Agree. I'm gonna give it a 9.
Yeah.
I like it. Yeah. And it's so pretty. So.
Yeah, it's so pretty.
So cheers to episode 78.
Oh
And
gosh, we haven't said cheers in forever.
I know we haven't. It's sad. Cheers. I can't wait to hear your story for today.
But first, we do have a quick promo to hear from Autumn Oddities. Okay, so here we go, guys. This is the third and final saga of my John Keel trilogy, which is what I'm calling this rabbit hole that I went down thanks to Naria when I read the Mothman Prophecies.
She is one of our favorite witches. We love her. Yes.
Yes.
And I love that Sierra has summarized this for me.
Right?
Because
Pretty
I
much.
just fucking got it. So
Oh, did you? Well, I mean, fucking read it because it's a lot.
I'm still going to read it.
I'm actually going to give you my review of it in our Bitch and Wine for September.
Ooh, okay, I can't wait. And reminder, part 1 is episode 76. Part 2 is our August Patreon exclusive bonus episode, so go check that out. And now you're getting part 3, so you're going to have to come join us over there to get part 2.
And part 1 was specifically about Mothman. Part 2 was about the ultra-terrestrial theory that John Keel posed. And then today I am talking about the strangers that maybe you remember that I mentioned in the Mothman episode.
Yes, you left me hanging.
Yeah, these people not from the area, dressed in strange clothes, who were knocking on doors and asking personal questions to the locals in Point Pleasant, West Virginia at the time of the Mothman sightings.
Yes.
So I decided that since we don't know who these strangers are exactly, and we don't, and BuzzFeed's Unsolved did an episode about these people, then I can use this as my unsolved episode and get away with it. So just take my slight misunderstanding of the assignment and deal with it. These strange people that I am talking about are theorized to be ultra-terrestrials, ones that are keeping or trying to keep the other dimension hoppers in check. When ghosts or monsters or cryptids get written about in widespread news, these strangers need to go and either calm people down or tell other people that the ones spreading news are liars and crazy and can't be trusted. It happens the most with UFOs. When UFOs are seen by multiple people at the same time, these strangers need to debunk it or tell the witness to never speak of the classified information again. People were reporting that these strangers made them feel extremely scared. Their skin was a strange color, usually either deathly pale white or completely black.
Yikes. I thought you were going to say blue and that's why you chose this. And I was like, Jesus.
That's a little too much.
Yeah, no kidding. Oh, gosh.
Their eyes were dark or hypnotic or a lot of times described as thyroid eyes, like bulging.
Ick.
Sometimes they seemed like they were running out of breath. Other times they took some sort of medicine to help them breathe easier. One time, one of them had a wire going up his pants leg like he was plugged into something. The clothes that they wore didn't quite fit right or were from the wrong time period or weren't suitable for the weather. And they always acted just a little bit off. And their shoes were always made of a super thick rubber material.
No.
It
Why?
wasn't until famous ufologist and creator of the International Flying Saucer Bureau, Albert Bender, wrote about these strangers that they were given a name. The Men in Black.
Okay, I had a feeling that that's where you were going with this, but I wasn't 100% sure.
The Mothman Prophecies book talks so fucking much about the Men in Black. Like, so many sightings.
This book really has it all, it sounds like.
It really does. Yeah. So, again, if you want my review on the book itself, you'll have to join Patreon and listen to Bitch and Wine. I'm not going to air that possibly dirty laundry on here.
Yeah, we like to put things behind a paywall, and Bitch and Wine is just a lot of fun.
In the 1950s, Albert Bender was a veteran, a writer, a UFO investigator, and was deeply involved in the UFO world, having multiple experiences of his own. In 1952, there was a record high of UFOs reported. 1,500 sightings were reported that year, according to Project Blue Book, the government's, research on UFOs.
Wow.
But 1952 was also the start of the Cold War and the space race, so many of the UFO sightings that year could have been from other nations' flying inventions. It doesn't necessarily mean they were UFOs.
Mm-hmm.
There were still Air Force officers and government officials, though, who were actually nervous that the American public were going to have a realization that there might actually be aliens in outer space. And they were terrified the world was going to freak out about it.
No, we already knew it, and we're real excited.
I know, right?
God.
Then, the next year, Albert Bender went silent. He shut down his UFO investigation bureau and basically went off the grid. It was super random and strange to all the other UFO enthusiasts.
Yeah.
And when he finally resurfaced a few years later, he explained what had happened and allowed a fellow ufologist, Gary Barker, to write about it in a book called Flying Saucers and the Three Men. I did not read that book, but it was summarized in a documentary for me. According to this book, Gary Barker wrote in what is allegedly Albert Bender's words, that Bender started being visited by 3 shadowy dark figures with glowing red eyes and hats on.
No.
Sound familiar?
A little bit.
Hatman-esque. They would materialize in his bedroom at night and warn him to stop researching the flying saucers. Apparently, these were a form of extra or ultra terrestrials who he called the Men in Black. He said that they were on a 15-year mission to harvest earthly materials out of water in Antarctica, and they could not risk people disturbing their mission. So he had to lay off until they were finished with their work.
Okay.
So this was the first time the term Men in Black was ever used, but this was actually not the first encounter. After this story came out, a man named Harold Dahl came forward with his story that could also be credited to Men in Black. He had previously only told a few people because he was embarrassed and because he was told not to tell. On June 21st, 1947, Harold, a captain who was out on the water for work, with his teenage son who was helping him on the water, and also his dog, he saw 6 disc-shaped UFOs, or flying saucers, what they were called back then. He stared shocked as it seemed that one of them was flying out of control compared to the other ones, and it was about to crash into the water. But right before it did, it opened some sort of chute or door and let out some rock-like material, which he supposed was weighing it down and making it fall. Then the saucer stabilized, lined up with the other 5, and they all 6 took off and disappeared into the sky.
Wild.
The rock material was dropped from the UFO, though, and it scattered all over Harold's boat. Some even hit them. His son's arm was injured, and his small dog was smashed to death. The
what?
boat...
No warning? God, Sierra.
I know, sorry. The boat wasn't his. He just worked on it. So, of course, he had to explain why there was shit all over his boss's boat to his boss. But that's the only person that he said anything to at first. The next day, Harold had a breakfast meeting with a man who he had planned to buy some lumber from. He didn't actually know this man. He just saw that he was a lumber salesman.
Yeah.
At breakfast, the man in a suit started telling Harold that he knew what happened on the boat and that he had better leave it alone and don't ever talk about it again or else.
Yikes.
Allegedly, the Army Air Corps was called in about the rocks on the boat, and they came over in a plane to check it out. They wanted to test it for whatever the fuck they thought it might be, so they loaded all the material into their plane to take it back to base.
Okay.
Officially, this next part is all a conspiracy theory. But some say that on the way back to base, the plane that the Army Air Corps was in with the rock burst into flames in the air and then crashed. And the location of the rock material is now unknown. The Air Force plane crashing is something that I couldn't verify, even though many people wrote about it. I didn't find any official documentation, but, maybe it's part of the Project Blue Book shit that's still classified or whatever.
Yeah.
It is a completely real thing, though, that 9 years after this happened, a passenger plane crashed in the same area. The Northwest Oriental Airlines Flight Number 2, 6 people died in the crash that was caused by the plane's cowl flaps being opened. And it kind of makes me wonder if both of the plane crashes were caused by the same thing, like some weird dimensional error in our timeline that was placed there on purpose.
Yeah.
You know, like a little a see-through blippy wall.
Yeah.
I don't know.
There's no way to know.
No, there's not. There's no way to prove me wrong either.
Exactly. That's why I'm like, yeah, allegedly a conspiracy.
Yeah, exactly. Ever since the book written about the Men in Black, people, especially UFO enthusiasts, started noticing and reporting accounts of similar men acting strangely and asking weird questions.
As they do.
Some said they believed their phones were tapped. Sometimes if they got something interesting on film, their film would be destroyed or altered. Some said they would lose time or have memory loss about the day. And these men in black were making people who saw UFOs, or even Bigfoot, seem downright crazy. This is when the tinfoil hats got real popular because they were trying to shield themselves from whatever was happening to them, you know? They're like, oh, it's the government. Put on your hat. They're erasing our memories.
I mean...
Yeah, the government, of course, was blamed for this, originally, for sending in these men in black.
They do some questionable things, but I don't think they're responsible for that.
They do some questionable things, but the question is it the Central Intelligence Agency? Is it the Federal Bureau of Investigation? The North American Aerospace Defense Command? The National Security Agency? Or someone from Project Blue Book? There's so many different creepy things that the government owns. Like, which one is it? What is happening?
Yeah.
In the beginning, most of the strangers claimed to be from the Air Force. They would come in, take down information, ask personal questions, and then say, okay, we'll handle it. Don't tell anyone else. We don't need to make a big deal of this.
We need to keep this under wraps.
Right. But it still didn't seem right. Some people started calling in complaints about the Air Force to the government, saying they gave them photographic evidence and personal information, and they wanted to know whatever happened with it all. But a report was never filed with the Air Force, and their belongings were never given back.
Oh.
Eventually, Lieutenant General Hewitt Welles of the U.S. Air Force had to make a statement, this was in 1967, that the Air Force had never sent anyone to anyone's homes and that these people were impersonating Air Force officers.
Okay.
Part of his statement read, quote, information has reached headquarters that persons claiming to represent the Air Force have contacted citizens who have sighted UFOs. In one reported case, a person in an Air Force uniform approached local police and other citizens who had sighted a UFO and told them they did not see what they thought they saw and they should not talk about the sighting. End quote.
It's kind of brainwashy. I don't like it.
Well, he's saying basically like, we didn't do this, so fucking stop talking to those people.
Yeah.
Like, he's like, I understand you're coming to me in the Air Force telling me that my officers are doing something wrong. I'm telling you, I never sent them in the first place. Those are impersonators. Don't fucking talk to them.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. That makes more sense.
Yeah. So, sure, the government could just be lying. That happens a lot. It would not surprise anyone. But Project Blue Book was shut down in 1969. And still, people report these strangers. Also, once I start describing them, I don't think you'll consider them government or even human. Albert Bender created the term Men in Black, but it didn't become really famous or well known and possibly unhuman until John Keel wrote the book The Mothman Prophecies. That's what we have to thank for Will Smith's Men in Black. That's what made it famous.
I do love those movies.
Right? John Keel wrote about very many encounters in the book during what he called the Year of the Garuda, aka the 13 months from when Mothman was first sighted until when the bridge collapsed.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of the interactions revolve around John Keel himself, as a known ufologist at the time, and also Mary Heyer, a reporter in West Virginia who wrote for the Athens Messenger, who was one of the very few reporters who believed people enough to write articles about UFO sightings.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just going to get right into some of these interactions that I chose to bring out of this book. One of the first people who saw Mothman was a woman named Connie. Almost a year later, she was also one of the people who was greeted by a knock at her door from a stranger named Jack Brown, who only spoke if she was looking directly into his dark eyes. He said he was friends with Mary Hyre, but he seemed to be asking a lot of questions about Mary. One that stuck out the most was, what do you think Mary Hyre would do if someone told her to stop writing about UFOs? Fucking creepy, right?
Yeah.
By the way, Connie responded, she'd probably tell them to drop dead. Which is hilarious.
Oh my
God. The same summer, a woman named Mrs. Butler also had a strange knock at her door. It was right after a UFO had been spotted near her home. The man arrived in a white Mustang and said he was Major Richard French of the Air Force, but he wasn't wearing a uniform. He was 5'9", wearing a brand new dark gray suit, had long hair and a pointy face. He seemed like an actual investigator there to investigate the UFO sightings. Until he accepted the Jell-O that Miss Butler offered him and tried to drink it from the bowl, unable to understand how to use a spoon until she showed him.
Oh.
Linda and Roger Scarberry, which was the couple that saw Mothman while they were in the car with their couple friends, also got a visit from a strange man who said his name was Jack Brown, and also asked what would Mary Hyre do if someone told her to stop writing about UFOs. He also went to give a handshake in front of them, but he only used his thumb and first two fingers to give a handshake. Fucking weird. Like a gun. He put his hand out like a gun, trying to shake someone's hand.
Oh, that's weird.
Yeah.
I don't like it.
This continued to happen with a bunch of people who had seen Mothman or had seen other UFOs in the area. Again, some believed it was the government, while others thought maybe it was just other UFO enthusiasts being nosy. But the questions were rarely about the UFO or cryptid sightings specifically. Sure, they would ask if they saw the thing, but then they'd get really personal about questions like, how old are you? How long have you been living here? Are there kids that live here? How old are the kids? Where do they go to school?
I don't like that.
Yeah, apparently a lot of the questions were about children, and there's also another Men in Black sighting that I didn't put in here because it's a whole episode that I'm probably going to do with the UFO sighting eventually, but it was a UFO at a school, and the people came and were like, don't let anyone know that this happened. Like,
oh no.
So apparently UFO sightings happen a lot to children and around schools. And Men in Black either don't like it or maybe they do. I don't know. They're always asking about children.
Yeah, that's icky in itself, but I know that it's not like icky in the way that people are instantly going to assume.
Oh, right, yeah.
Like, it's unsettling,
It's definitely unsettling. It's like they're trying to raise a generation of either people who know all about them or know nothing.
Yeah.
I don't know. Eventually, these strange-looking dudes even told the homeowners that they visited straightly that they were census takers, and they had to ask some questions.
Okay.
And then again, they would ask them about their children.
I mean, but a census only goes so far. You can't just keep asking about children. God.
Yeah, and then once the homeowners gave the answers, they watched these weird men get into all black cars that were completely silent, no noise, that had appeared out of nowhere, and then disappeared into nowhere, usually into some sort of forest, where there was not a road.
No.
In another instance that John Keel writes about, the Stevens family were very involved in UFO hunting, and had gone out looking for them in a lot... had gone out looking for UFOs a lot in the Point Pleasant area during the Mothman sighting era.
Okay.
One night, their daughter was home alone, and her phone calls to her boyfriend were interrupted or disconnected multiple times. It sounded as if another call was being picked up sometimes, or maybe they just hear a loud weird screechy noise. Have you ever had that happen to you, by the way?
Yeah.
Yeah, me too, all the time. When, like, something wonky happens on the phone in a call, like, you'll randomly hear some voice
And
that
it's
you've
like,
never heard before. Yeah, or, like, a
and
weird,
yeah.
unknown animal sound. Yeah,
I apologize to our listeners for the
Right.
noise that I just made.
I've had this happen so many freaking times, and I always jokingly say, oh, the government's listening.
Yeah.
But now I think
And for the
that Men
record,
in
it's
Black are
not
listening.
like the sound that it's making when you get like a fax number. That's not what we're talking about. Just
Also,
so
it's a
everybody
cell
knows.
phone, so why would that happen?
Yeah. But you can dial a number where you'll connect to a fax number. It just can't do anything with it. But that's not the noise we're talking about before
Yeah,
people
also-
start writing in and telling us we're stupid.
But also, I hear it when I'm literally, like, usually it's, I don't know why, almost always when I'm talking to my dad on the phone.
Oh,
Like,
well, your
I'll
dad's
be
house is fucking
literally,
haunted, so
that's true.
that
I'll be
makes
literally
sense.
having a conversation with my dad, and then some weird shit happens, and I'm like, oh, did you hear that? And he's like, yeah, what was that? I'm like, I don't know, the government's listening. And he's like, well, I don't got nothing to hide. You know, we always have these conversations.
Yeah, that checks out. Your dad's
Yeah.
house is haunted.
It's very true.
Ghost interference for that particular case, but yeah. Or the Men
Anyway,
in Black are trying to hunt down these ghosts in your dad's house. One of the two.
possibly. So this kept happening to the Stevens daughter, like I said, but the phone was ringing, so she would have to answer it, or else it would just keep ringing. And sometimes she said it was just the sound of someone breathing on the other end of the line.
Ugh,
Sometimes it
that's
was
the
weird
worst.
beeps, like Morse code. Rightfully, she was fucking terrified until her parents finally got back home.
Yeah.
And she
Yikes.
was not the only one who had experienced this. All of the people who had the interactions with these strange men also noticed strange things happening with their telephones right before or right after the interactions with the strange men. They'd hear beeping like Morse code, or noises that sounded like CB radio signals, or, voices on the phone that they'd never heard before, talking to each other, not to them.
Yeah.
Phone would just ring and ring and ring. And after the crazy phones at the Stevens home, the Stevens dad got a visit from a strange man talking to him about UFOs, asking him weird questions, and ending the conversation by saying, people who look for UFOs should be very, very careful. This was according to Stephen's wife, according to John Keel.
Okay.
So Stevens drew a picture of the strange man that visited him to tell everybody else about him, including John Keel. He's like, this is what the dude looked like. A few weeks later, their house was broken into, and the picture that he drew of the man was stolen. Nothing else, just that picture. And 2 months after that, the Stevens dad died suddenly, even though he was only in his 30s. Stevens' wife believed that his death was related to the UFO business.
Okay.
Fucking scary.
Yeah. Just a
So,
smidge.
take those threats seriously, I guess.
I just feel uncomfortable.
Yeah.
in all of it. Just, yeah.
Yeah. After the year of the Garuda came to an end, the Men in Black stories in other areas started to come out as well. In New Jersey in 1968, Mary and Jack Robinson, UFO researchers, reported that they were being stalked by a strange man in a black suit. And around this time, their home had also been rummaged through, even though
Yikes.
nothing was stolen. They actually got a photo of the man.
No.
I'm going to
Are you
share
gonna
my
show
screen
me?
with you.
Yes.
You gotta allow me.
I was like, I'm hoping that's where you're going, but. Oh, there it is.
Yes.
Ugh. Okay.
Yeah, so this guy was just hiding outside of their home, or, a little down the street, whatever. But
Yeah.
the thing that creeps me out the most is his eyes.
Well, that, and look at
Why do
his
they
tiny
look like
little
that?
feet and legs.
They are tiny. Ew.
Is that just me?
Like a man
Like,
in, like a monkey in a man suit.
Yeah, he looks like his feet and his legs aren't as proportional. Maybe it's because it's a long coat for his legs, but his feet are tiny as fuck.
Yeah. Yeah. And the Men in Black are said to wear clothes that don't fit right. His eyes just look like they're too bulgy for me, though.
Yeah.
Something is not right about them.
it's
Granted, this was a
inhuman.
1968 photo.
Still.
But
even for
It's
1968, your feet and your eyes are not right, sir.
yeah. I'm going to leave that on there for a second because I have another thing to show you.
Sir,
Just a
your
little bit.
eyes.
Yeah. So another encounter happened in Maine in 1976 when a Dr. Hopkins, a UFO researcher, got a call from another self-described UFO researcher who wanted to talk to him about some UFO-related things.
Okay.
Hopkins agreed to meet the man, and then the man suddenly knocked on his door as soon as he got off the phone.
No!
So he's like, oh, by the way, I'm outside.
That's so scary.
Yeah. The man was also in a black suit, had the similar dead white skin, had no hair, not on his head, no eyebrows, not even eyelashes.
Like alopecia, but not alopecia. Ugh.
Yep. And he also said that the man had no lips.
Excuse me?
Red lipstick in the shape of lips where lips should have been. I don't have a picture of this one. Sorry.
I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it.
Disgusting.
I'm glad you don't have a photo.
Yeah, I know.
My eyes are
I saw a
watering.
few drawings and I was like, no, can't do it.
My eyes are watering. I can't handle that.
Yeah. While at his home, this no-lip man showed Hopkins a coin and somehow made it disappear right in front of his eyes. And then threatened Hopkins, telling him to stop researching UFOs. I don't know if he ever stopped, but that's all I have about that story. Then in 2008, this is the one that I have to share, but I think I need to share it a different way. Hang on.
No! I'm already crying. This doesn't need to get worse, and there's not even ghosts involved.
I know. Okay, so then in 2008, men in black were caught on camera again. This time, video camera. A hotel manager. Are you still there?
Yeah.
Okay. You're not popped up on my thing because I'm trying to pull up this video, so I
I'm
see your
literally
reaction.
just dumbfounded over here. I'm just like, my eyes started watering at the no lips. That was where it was too much for me.
Oh my goodness. A hotel manager and night security saw a UFO outside of the hotel one night and told other hotel workers about it. Pretty cool, right?
Mm-hmm.
A few days later, two men with creepily pale white skin, big black suits, no hair, eyebrows, or eyelashes,
and tiny feet,
big bulgy eyes, and identical faces came in looking for the hotel manager and security guard.
I am not well at the moment.
And I have a video.
No!
This is a 2008 security video, so it's not going to be awesome, but people are walking.
Are their feet super tiny?
I don't know. I didn't think to look at their feet before.
Until I pointed it out.
Yeah.
Ick.
All right, so it's just like showing you the things that have been going on.
Oh. Okay.
You can see other people walking around, see the size of other people.
Normal varietal of humans. Yep.
Those are the men in black right there.
Okay.
Their feet are kind of small, aren't they?
They have tiny feet. This is a new... Oh my god, this person's about to walk right past them?
Yeah, and it's a lot of people pay attention to the size difference of the man who they walk right past.
Yeah.
I don't see a huge difference.
I don't either.
But their clothes seem huge.
Yeah. Yeah, it seems very bulky. It looks like a little kid dressed in like adult clothes.
Yeah, and their feet are small. Maybe it's the clothes that are making the feet look small.
Maybe. That's probably what it is. But that's freaky.
Forward and backward it multiple times so you can see. But
that's freaky.
Yeah, apparently those two dudes had the same exact face.
Ick.
Ick for sure.
I don't know what to do with this information, but I am upset about it.
So here is where I turn this into an unsolved episode. The question that we're trying to speculate on is, what the fuck are they? Who are they? And why are they here?
Who, what, when, where, and why.
Yes. Theories?
Anything alien, I always like to think, has a heroism type mission. Like a good mission. Like a message to present or somebody to protect or Or maybe they're protecting you from something bad. Like they're like in the movie, they're saving the human race from awful alien things.
Speaking of, have you watched the new movie Prey?
No.
It's the Alien versus Predator movie called
No.
Prey. It just came out.
No.
I watched bits and pieces of it. It was very interesting, I'll say that.
Okay.
It was fucking scary.
Yeah, I've seen all the Alien movies versus Predator.
Yeah.
That's my theory. I think they're protecting you against something.
Yeah.
They're here, or they're here to protect humans in the sense that they don't want you to know that you've already seen something. So it's like a memory wipe type situation.
Yeah. So you'll read the book, and you'll get to it, but John Keel's theory is that they are manipulating humans. Like, for instance, they'll have, for their own good, whether it's good or bad to us, no one knows, because no one can remember. But, like, for instance, he gives an example of, like, they'll, in a way, possess him and make him take a letter to someone's house. And then, and then make him come home, and his time is wiped. He thinks that he was just abducted by aliens. He lost time. He doesn't know what happened. The last thing he remembers seeing is a UFO. But really, he was just doing their dirty work for him, kind of thing. Like, they needed someone to get a message, so they had him write it and take it there and then come back to the same spot he was just at.
Yeah.
So, and that's why people think they've been abducted. Because also, according to John Keel, if you listen to the bonus episode, he doesn't believe in aliens, basically. They're not from outer space. They're from other dimensions.
Yeah.
So, basically, in that sense, there kind of are no aliens.
Okay.
But there are, but they're not aliens as we think. They're not extraterrestrials. They're ultra-terrestrials. They want you to think they're in space because they don't want you to look in the other dimension.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Okay.
It's crazy. My theory is, I kind of have grasped onto that one, but my more broad theory is, I feel like they're changing their forms, because remember the first ever thought of them was basically the Hat Man, right?
Yeah.
It was a shadowy figure with red eyes and a hat. I think they materialize into maybe
Something
what
that's
you're
more
scared of or what you respect. Like, each person, it's different. Someone that they think you'll listen to. So I think
that's really interesting.
I think Albert Bender, he saw them as shadow people because that's all he would listen to. He was a ufologist during a time when the government didn't want people to talk about UFOs. So they knew if they dressed as a man in black, it's a government official. Albert Bender's not going to listen to a fucking government official. He don't give a shit. So he had to they had to take a form of something Albert Bender would listen to.
Yeah.
And then during the Mothman sightings and all these ones that we just talked about, people were scared of government officials. They thought the government was out to get them, so they dressed like the government. I also think that
interesting.
They didn't know what Mary Hyre was afraid of or would listen to, and that's why they kept asking people, what would she do if someone told her to stop writing? Like, maybe to see if those people would be like, well, if it was the government, she wouldn't care. But if it was, the police, then maybe she'd be scared. And then they'd take form of the police or something. They were trying to figure out, what is she scared of?
That's cool.
I also think that the reason we don't see quote-unquote men in black anymore is because so many people aren't scared of them in that form anymore.
Yeah.
We're like, fuck the government now. I think now they might be creepier. Like, maybe the black-eyed kids. Yeah.
Oh, no.
Yeah. So
because that would explain their awkward behavior.
Yes.
Like,
their
inhuman
awkwardness.
behavior.
Yes. We've talked a little bit about the black-eyed kids before and the manifestation theory. For those of you who don't know, I'm sure we'll do an episode on it in the future. I was going to add on to this, but I was like, I have to stop with this rabbit hole.
At some point, yeah. But in some ways, that kind of explains like the awkward human behavior.
Yes.
But then it's like if people are seeing previous sightings of the men in black as like Bogart like behavior, like from Harry Potter, like whatever you're afraid of.
Yeah.
That doesn't explain that because, well, I mean, everybody's kind of afraid of the black-eyed kids.
Everyone,
so
yeah. They
that's
make you
true.
feel terrified.
So it's like a consistent image. Interesting.
Yeah.
Ugh, I don't like it. I don't like
it's
how
just
you did this.
Every
Why did you do this to my brain?
generation is scared of different things, you know?
Yeah.
Our generation is scared of something that we wrote. The Black-Eyed Kids, for those of you who don't know, is literally a creepypasta. Someone wrote this story.
Yeah.
And then after they wrote the story, it got so popular that people started seeing black-eyed kids. And the theory is the manifestation theory, that a joined consciousness basically formed the black-eyed kids because we all thought it so much that now it exists. Mm-hmm. But what if the men in black know our thoughts? And so they were like, oh, these people are scared of this. Let's take that form.
What?
And the black-eyed kids are known to like say and do weird things like, can I have ketchup for my apple? Knowing damn well Americans and humans in general do not eat ketchup on apples. Like, they were just like, oh, people get McDonald's Happy Meals. Apples come in there and they ask for ketchup. Let's get ketchup for our apples.
No, something is not computing
Something
here.
is not right. So,
No.
yeah, now I think that black-eyed kids are men in black in a different form. Creepy. But no one will ever know. This is unsolved.
I'm broken now that you've done this to me. You can't bring Mothman, the Men in Black, and Black-Eyed Children all into the same stories here.
All rolled into one. And
all
aliens.
of
Don't forget aliens.
Our twisted humans are all short-circuiting, like me, I'm sure. Whoa.
It's everything.
That's insane.
Read the Mothman Prophecies, y'all. Also,
I'm reading a book currently about who might be our next serial killer, but I will definitely start that afterwards.
Yeah, read it because it's interesting.
Oh.
Don't judge it because it was written in the 70s and it was a terrible time.
Yeah.
He's a little sexist. He's a lot sexist. He's a little racist.
That's what I've heard.
Yeah.
But again, it was a different time.
It was. I'll give my full review again, like I said, on Bitchin' Wine, but
okay.
It's worth the read, whether you like it or not.
Okay. I'm excited and scared all at once.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure what to do with any of this info. Well, you did a great job. Like,
Thank
serious
you.
rabbit hole,
serious rabbit hole. Naria had just sent me, like, yesterday, too, another Mothman book.
I saw that. I was like,
one.
whoa, this is a full chat I've never seen. But I was like, okay.
Sorry.
No,
I saw
it's
it pop up, and I was like, I need to respond.
Yeah, no, all good.
But, yeah, it's
she knows the way to our hearts. It's
I
fine.
know, right? It's a fictional book, though, so I think I'll be okay. It's not real. It's just interesting. Okay. It's called Below, for anyone wondering.
Okay. I can't wait. I, again, am just... What did you use last 2 weeks ago? A week ago? Befuddled.
Befuddled?
When you were talking about the dragonflies. I am befuddled at the moment. Yeah, that's crazy. Let us know what you guys think, guys.
Yes. What do you think the Men in Black are, and why are they here?
Yeah.
Are they still here?
What is their purpose? Yeah, we can't wait to hear what you guys think. Write in your thoughts, email in your thoughts, tag us in your thoughts, whatever you want. We'll find it eventually. And, yeah. I'm just, speechless at this point. I have a lot to think about.
Speechless.
But good job, Sierra.
Let me tell you some things about this day.
Yes.
Today is August 30th, and on this day in 1936, the passenger ship, the Queen Mary, won the Blue Ribbon by setting the fastest transatlantic passenger ship crossing in her very first year of commissioning.
Yeah, girl.
Since
I think you
then,
said that in your...
Probably. Yes.
episode on the Queen Mary, but I don't think any. Yeah, now it's on this day. I love
On
it.
this day. Since then, she and another ship went back and forth on who was faster, with the Queen Mary keeping the title from 1938 until 1952. In 1952, it was awarded to the SS United States, which is where the title remains today, as the competition is no longer impressive, and nobody really does it anymore because who cares? Air travel is way faster. But for more information about the RMS Queen Mary, you can check out our episode 49. And also, as a note and an update for the Queen Mary episode, she is supposed to reopen this year in October. When we recorded that episode, there was no reopen date in sight, but now it is supposed to be October 1st of this year. So,
Yay! Can we go see her?
I
God.
fucking wish I could make it that far.
I know. When your children are older and you can come
Yes.
my way, we'll drive to California. It'll be
Definitely. I'm so glad that the city decided to fix
Keep
her
it,
up and keep her
yeah,
open.
We were gonna go and protest, but I mean,
We
I guess
were.
we don't have to now.
I believe I signed a petition.
Yeah, I did too.
Yeah.
Love it. Okay,
Love it.
that's exciting. Hey, don't just tear her down. She's a piece of history, and she's beautiful and
is.
spooky. And where are all the ghosts gonna go if you take her away?
Right.
Things to think about, guys. Um, but yeah, thank you so much for listening as always. Don't forget to leave those ratings. Put our live show in your calendar. And we'll see you next week for a brand new episode. And in the meantime,
Keep it twisted.
Thank you for listening to Twisted and Uncorked podcast. Remember to leave a 5-star rating and review wherever you are listening now. It really is the best way to spread the word. You can also check out all of our sources and materials, as well as photos for the episode, on our website at twistedanduncorked.com. And you can follow us on social media at Twisted and Uncorked or Twisted_pod on Twitter. Thank you so much for all of your love and support, and we will see you next Tuesday for a brand new episode. Cheers!